Steve Hindalong is one of the founding and continuing members of a band called The Choir. He and Derry Doherty, Dan Michaels, and the late Tim Chandler, I think that's the original lineup of The Choir, which was originally called the Youth Choir. This is a band that formed in Southern California, yes?
That's right. Now, originally, we had a bass player named Mike Sowerbury in the band.
Okay.
It was me, a guy named Mike Sowerbury, and Derry started the band, and Dan joined us in 84, and then Tim Chandler became our bass player.
Yeah.
And then we've had several bass players.
Well, yeah, but they haven't had a bunch of drummers because you are the drummer and lyricist. Who's another drummer lyricist?
Well, Neil Peart is the most famous one.
Okay.
I guess Phil Collins, songwriter.
Yeah.
There's a few, but yeah.
I know The Choir because when I was growing up, Electric Jesus is about a Christian heavy metal band. And when I was writing the movie, I kind of leaned into the metal thing, Steve, because it was maybe the most strange and curious angle on Christian music. Mm-hmm. It had a lot of look and was misunderstood a lot, or maybe understood. I don't know, but it seemed strange to a lot of people, Christian metal.
Well, it was strange, and of course, I had to hate it at the time. I had to hate Stryper because I was in modern rock, alternative rock, so I couldn't. They were our peers. Derry, our sound guy, used to set up sound for them when they were just starting out because they were in Pasadena and we lived right there in Cerritos,
Yeah.
He would set up their PA and they would just have like these massive cabinets, but there'd only be one speaker actually in there, But we thought they were the lamest thing that ever possibly could be, throwing Bibles and all that, We were so elitist with our cool, new wave, notion of who we were. And of course, we had to see them take off and sell a million records. Like we didn't, we had no commercial success, and they had all the. We're like, wait a minute,
Now, my friend Daniel Smith, who I collaborated on with music for Electric Jesus, both of us trying to affect this Christian metal music. He was the same way. Like his band was kind of they were on tooth and nail for a while, Danielson family, and they're very eclectic. Art, folk, alternative, whatever. And he didn't really like anything Christian, but certainly not the more popular genres of Christian music. He was chasing something else.
Right.
And but here's the thing, so I grew up in South Carolina, and for me and a couple of my friends, all the Christian music, the bands on Christian labels that were out of Southern California just captured my imagination and really became like an identifier for me. Bands like the Altar Boys, Daniel Amos, and bands that felt like they were coming from California. And it was kind of like, I liked surf culture and, skate culture and Vans and all that. So for us in South Carolina, you guys eventually you did tour here, but early on, I would just hear your music at Christian bookstores. And it was kind of like this siren's call out west that seemed to be a version of Christianity, or Christian music at least, that I liked.
Let me interrupt you for a minute and say I got the proof that I toured in South Carolina right here. Can you see this mug I'm drinking out of?
It says Heritage USA. Yeah.
Right, which is right there in South Carolina, right? we actually played there. I think it was 87. It was right at the time that, Jim Baker was in big trouble and they went down in the scandal, and Jerry Falwell took over for just a little while. And when we were playing this gig there, which we played at some little beachfront thing with like maybe 20 people watching us or whatever. It was meager, pathetic. We thought, we're playing at Heritage USA.
Oh my gosh, I wish I'd been at that show. Oh,
yeah, it was meager, but one great thing about it, we got a check from them for $400 we got for the gig. And it was insufficient funds. We got a check from... Wow. Heritage USA, insufficient funds, $400. We never got paid for that gig, But coincidentally, here I am with the mug.
Yeah, there it is.
Prove it. But anyway,
man, yeah.
I don't know where. I guess this conversation isn't going to go anywhere.
No,
it's not going to where it's going.
No, well, let's take it up to Fort Mill, and that's Fort Mill, South Carolina. Well, I saw you guys play. I was a college kid at a college called Furman in Greenville, South Carolina. And this must have been 90. It was Wide-Eyed Wonder was the record. And you guys were opening for Russ Taff.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah, Yeah.
And it was you're playing the arena downtown, and me and my cool college radio friends, we were playing your music all week leading up to that show, telling everybody to go.
Wow.
And we went and we saw you play your set. And as soon as you're done, I vividly remember going out and you guys were at the merch table, and I came up and I was just like, you guys are the best. You're so great. And this is so great. We saw you, and you were like, are you guys leaving? And we're like, oh yeah, we're definitely leaving. And it may have been you, it may have been Darius. It's probably you who said, no, you should go listen to Russ Taff. He's really good. And we're like, no.
Yeah.
No,
well,
and he is really good. I don't want to slam Russ Taff. And that was a good record that was out at that time. But
that The Way Home record is a great record, and they were great to us. But it was a horrible experience for us because night after night, we'd never played for crowds like that, a couple thousand people every night, and they pretty much overwhelmingly hated us. We did not belong on the tour. It was a situation where the label, we were on Word Records, and they were going to drop us. We couldn't succeed. We weren't going to succeed. And they said, well, if you go on this Russ Taff tour, we'll do one more record with you, but you got to use half your record budget because they're not going to pay you to do that tour. So we were just paying our way on that tour. We were following their bus with our van and trailer. And that was 1989. And,
that's what it was.
It was 4 months, 50 cities. Yeah, it was a disaster for us. And then we went back and we did this album called Circle Slide right after we got
which
back.
Is arguably your best record. I mean,
some people think so. Yeah. But we were just like, let's make it, like you said, let's just make a record we want to hear. We know we cannot succeed in this industry. We wouldn't want to succeed in the industry. I mean, how can you succeed in an industry that you can't stand yourself? How can you care about getting radio success on a radio station that you yourself would not listen to because you can't stand it for 5 minutes? So we had no chance of succeeding commercially. Plus, we didn't want to say what we were expected to say, at least at that point.
Well,
I think I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead. Yeah.
I got to say my Groucho joke. I wouldn't want to be a part of a club that would have me as a member. I think it's the Groucho Marx joke.
Okay.
It was co-opted by Woody Allen, but yeah, that idea, you don't want to be in that club. So the scene in the movie and again, we'll talk about whatever we want to, but the thing about that scene so I wrote the movie as a fan. I don't know anything about Christian music industry. I let some people in the industry read it, and the ones that weren't offended or couldn't figure out what the movie is about, generally said, this is a plausible scenario. Some shady guy is like going to take a band around and try to make some money.
Sure, absolutely.
Do you remember what was the choirs, or at the time youth choir, what was the moment where, was there a moment where somebody came up and said, hey, I want to sign you to a record deal, or you played a showcase or a gig and somebody's like, you guys we're going to help you get to the top? Do you remember what that was? If there was a moment?
There were several moments like that. And I'll tell you what, the movie, like, I'll be honest with you. It was like, for me, cringe, like most of the way, because it was a little too real maybe. And that was that, for us, it was that narrow window of around 1986, the earliest days when we were in that. And like, we went our own way, but yes, the industry, it was just so exciting to get a record deal. We were just church kids, and and we wanted to just an idea of getting a record deal. Of course, back then, getting a record deal was a come by. You couldn't just make a record. Now you can just make a record on any laptop in any college dorm.
Sure.
But it wasn't that way. Studios had $100,000 worth of equipment. You had to have a record deal. You couldn't just make an album, So you had to have a record label sign you, and then it was like so. And so whether it was Christian or whatever, sure, that we were fine with that. And we did start out like, we were fans of Daniel Amos. They were our heroes.
Okay.
And Derry, our guy, our singer and my partner, was their roadie and sound man for Daniel Amos.
Okay.
And those guys are 10 years older than us. They're ahead of us. But we followed their path. We toured with them. They were our mentors, our heroes. Mm-hmm. And they were Christian band, but they were kind of edgy, And so
they were artists. Terry Taylor's they're an artist.
Terry's the greatest songwriter that I personally know, Of all someone that I would call a friend,
Yeah.
I got to say he's the best songwriter personally.
Yeah.
But anyway, we started out like that, but then very quickly you feel the expectation of what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to either evangelizing or edifying the body. One of these two. Your music is a tool. You're performing a function.
Yeah.
You have an agenda. Like, what are you doing here? And it's all about, you'd play your songs and they'd say, that whoever hired you go, where's the salt, bros? What about Jesus? And all that. Immediately just start feeling so boxed in. And of course, I became the lyricist, and I'm very introspective, and I want to write about real life, and I'm very self-aware and realizing that I can't really preach to anybody because my own life is picked up enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I've got enough trouble. I got real problems going on. We all do. And I just think I just want to be who I am. And if my faith works its way into the song, which it did into a lot of songs, okay. But if I want to write a love song or some problem I'm having with my wife, or if my dog died, not that it did, but I just feel like you write what you feel. Whatever you feel, whatever's important to you, write about that. That makes for the best song.
Yeah.
And so more and more, that's what we wanted to do. And that's what I did as a lyricist. And therefore, we couldn't be sold. I mean, you can't market that, because what's for sale is what Jesus did. So whatever Jesus did, and joy also. Joy is for sale in what Jesus did. And real life is not all joy, right? And you don't walk around thinking about Jesus and God all the time. You think about, and so more and more I morphed away, and we realized the record label could not. I remember we did this record that's right now, we have a Kickstarter out for this record that we did 35 years ago called Chase the Kangaroo in 1987, which was really where we changed, where we made the leap and said, we're just going to write. I did as a lyricist, I'm just going to write about whatever I feel. The Rifleman, whatever happened to the Rifleman, or whatever it was. Chase the Kangaroo is the stupidest title there ever was, but I was working construction and digging ditches, and I remember that Bugs Bunny cartoon where, Bugs Bunny's digging, trying to get away from Elmer Fudd, and he comes out the other. He's a Chinese guy. Yeah. A Chinese guy with a gun, And of course, you couldn't do that now, but in the 60s, you could.
Right.
It'd be racial, racial or something right now. But I got the globe, and I go, wait a minute, if you went straight through, it'd be Australia, not China, So that's in my mind. I'm like, I work bad science into my songs as an English major kind of guy,
Yeah, of course.
Because songwriters don't have to be accurate about any of that.
That's right.
You can just whatever, your imagination. So I'm like, this is so futile. I feel like I'm digging, all the way to Australia, chase the kangaroo. Stupid idea, but my mind, I just like, my mind was just, my 27-year-old mind was just going crazy. Like, and the Christians are like, what about Jesus, bro? Like, and then I remember the record label at the end, the A&R guy, who was one of those guys that came to Knott's Berry Farm and saw us and said, I'm going to sign you guys. I'm going to make you guys on Word Records. You're going to be, he was a believer in us. We thought, but we knew we did want to succeed. We did want to please our record company people. But I remember him coming to me and said, I need a Christian song, and I need a Christian song now. So I wrote a song called Consider that has Consider the Ghost of the Risen Savior. It's one of the lines. I go, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Consider this, consider that. But obviously it wasn't like they can't play that on a Christian radio. It was a rock song. But I did say, Consider the Ghost of, there you go, okay? And then I wrote this other one called Children of Time, and it had references to, I don't know. It was Christian enough that they go, all right, But that was pretty much it. And then after that, we just quit trying at all. And by the time we did, Wide-Eyed Wonder record, and by the time we got to Circle Slide, we were just like, we're in the wrong place. We have no chance of success at all. So let's just make a record that we want to hear and let it go, and we'll be done. And then the record label did drop us after that. They're like, you're going to open the album with a 6-minute slow song?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right.
They're like, you don't start the record with that. You know, like, what? Yeah, you do, man. Have you heard Starfish? Haven't you heard the Church? Starfish? Haven't you heard that out? Destination Unknown? We're like, what? You guys don't know. Or haven't you heard Disintegration by The Cure? You know, it's all
Right,
the
right.
the end of the '80s got real moody and
That's
cool.
right.
You know, we were part of that whole like the end of the goofy '80s, quirky. You know, and then it got moody and cool. The
Hmm.
great records. Nobody knew what was coming. Nobody knew Seattle was going to happen. Nobody knew Nirvana was around the corner.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah,
almost like the music was getting quiet. It was about to explode again in a totally different way, and it
nobody
got,
knew.
yeah, nobody knew, and it was
With grunge, you know.
kind of ambient, maybe dream pop or something. That's yeah, that is exactly where you guys were.
She touches grief with her kiss. She saves me so. She saves me so. She brushes true love with thistle. Her garden grows. Her garden grows. Oh, she grips my heart. Anytime she smiles, anytime she cries. She grips my heart.
It was mostly the promoters when we go to play gigs.
Ah, right.
Promoters at show when you get to the venue and they're like, they are expecting a thing, or the fans they come to your product table and you're like, "Oh, sad face is good for the heart." What is that? You know, sad face is good for the heart. And you're supposed to rejoice in the Lord always. I said, sorrow is better than laughter because a sad face is good for the heart. Ecclesiastes 7:3. That's also in the Bible. I didn't make that up. Well, you must have taken it out of context. You know, well, no,
Oh
the
no. Yeah.
context was it was a funeral.
Hmm.
In Ecclesiastes, it was a funeral. And it's like basically that's part of life. So I didn't write it, you know. So but I wrote it in the song because my wife had miscarried and it was death. It was a loss. It was like, well, the Bible says sorrow is better than laughter. You know, sad face is good for that. Somehow there's goodness in our suffering. And I've come to really believe that's true. It's not. It's very
I
Buddhist.
agree.
Also, you lean into the suffering. There, you know that there's a gift. Suffering is a gift in a lot of ways. It teaches us it gives us empathy for others. It makes us a better friend, a better human
Yeah.
being. You know, so many things. You know, so I think it was more than they could handle. But then a lot of people, I probably got more mail because back then people wrote letters
Yeah. Right. Right.
about that song, what it meant to them.
Oh wow. Really?
Oh, my child died in a swimming pool or whatever it was, like the
Oh no.
overwhelming suffering people had, or the rifleman. I got a job for the rifleman, you know,
Hmm.
about you know, and people, what's that about? Well, a guy wrote me a letter, said my father was brutally murdered as a taxi. He was driving a taxi trying to get me through college. He got stabbed and killed. I know. I want a job for the rifleman. I want to kill that. I know what it's like to want revenge. I get it. I get that song.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this song, that song about being how we pray for peace and revel in war. Where I'm talking about my own dichotomy. How I call myself a pacifist, which I was at the time, but then in my heart, you know, I you know, we all enjoy, you know, the bad guy getting his due and getting
Yeah.
riveted.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
the rifleman, a half an hour. You know, there's a premise, and that the last, you know, a bunch of guys get killed at the very end is very gratifying. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm rambling, but I'm writing about real things, and some people got it. They really got it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the majority did not. It's not what they came to church for. That's not what they went to the Christian
I
bookstore to
yeah,
get.
I got that with obviously, well, with Electric Jesus, I got that too. And I went into it without an agenda really. I just wanted to write about my youth group friends. I wasn't in a band. I like Christian
Yeah.
music. I had some wistful thoughts about that. I've deconstructed and reconstructed a faith in my life. And I think we should be deconstructing and reconstructing all the time, probably.
Yeah.
But in the film, as I'm making the film, like I went in a thing where I thought I was the main guy as I'm writing. I wrote me as the sound guy, and then I started watching the film when it was over, and I realized, no, I'm the girl. I'm the girl that's trying to figure out what to do with her art and get out.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Right. Right.
Isn't that cool? Like when a piece of art starts working on you, when you've let it go and it comes right back in your face.
I get that. Chris, I totally get that. I so get that. I totally get that. Yeah.
But that's not how the commodified kind of Christian art, Christian music world was set up. It was really set up to just deliver propaganda is the mean way to say it, but it was just delivering comfort it was repeating back aphorisms and feel good to Christians who were maybe a little insecure or new in their faith and wanted to, and it's still that, if you listen to like a K-Love or His Radio or any of these, it's just a wall of, it's like sweet, don't worry, it's whistling past the graveyard. It's just don't worry.
That's the elixir. That's the elixir that people are there to buy. That's where the money is, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where the money is. That's why they're there.
But it doesn't also, like, artists. Everybody's going to think the choir songs are super sad. They're not. I mean, oh no. Even a cloud or the song Clouds on that record on Chase the Kangaroo. I was listening to it the other day, and it just did a number on me, man.
Wow.
Your playing is great in that too. It's very.
I was doing Mick Fleetwood's Tusk.
Oh yeah, Tusk. Of course. Oh yeah, that's the greatest drumming ever.
Yeah,
it's just, and it's a little bit of, is it brushes on the snare or something, or do you play it? Is that how you play? It's a little soft.
Want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you how I did
tell
it?
me. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about the original recording, right?
Yeah,
Are you talking about the original recording? Okay.
I listened to both. I listened to the re-record too, but on the original.
Okay. This is what I did. Okay, I'll tell you exactly what I did for drummers out there. I did one. If the song is 6 minutes long, I did a pass with brushes.
Yeah.
It's just with the 3 times, just like a pattern.
Yeah.
And I did it for the whole 6 minutes. Then on 2 tracks. Then I did another pass with mallets. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. And then I did another pass with sticks. Doing the same thing. So I had 6 tracks. 2, each one was stereo. Then I overdubbed the cymbal crashes, right?
Yeah.
Because the 80s, everything was overdubbed, So I had like 8 tracks of drums. Mark Hurd mixed it. Remember Mark Hurd?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he mixed it for us. So what he would do was slide up on the first verse. It starts out with just brushes, the 2 faders, because everything was manual, right? We didn't have automation. You pushed up faders, So he pushed the brushes. Second verse, he pushes up the mallets with the brushes.
Right.
So it gets that group.
Yeah.
I'm going for the Tusk group thing, right? Like, and then the last verse, he pushes up the sticks too. So you got brushes, mallets, and sticks all playing together, like a gang, right?
It grows. Yeah, there's something intensifies. It's like relentless. It's relentless, and to me, again, the way it got me is I was listening to the song and I said, is this about death? A friend's father recently passed away, and I'm like, is this a song about death? And maybe I've read it that way. The lyrics of colors and temperature, the blood is warm,
which means it's still alive. It's still
and then the eyes
still happening. It's still ongoing.
Yeah, the eyes are hidden. The eyes are hidden. That idea of God's eyes
shadows
being
veil
hidden.
Your eyes. The mystery of God.
Yeah, and that's yeah.
Give me a minute. I'm going into my room. I'm going into my room to get the book that inspired it.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. This is where I got this. I got the earbuds in, so I got this. My who was going to be my wife, Nancy. This is not 11/29/1980. My 20th birthday. She gives me this book. People can't see it, but she says, "Steve, I pray that this will help as you grow strong in the love of Jesus Christ, always searching for Him through His Word. with his love, Nancy. Okay. We got married 2 years later.
Okay.
Christian college, right? She
Yeah.
gives me Oswald Chambers, My Utmost for His Highest.
Oh yeah, of course.
The devotional was written, I think, in the 30s or something.
Yeah, right.
I read it, and then I get to January 3rd, and the passage and the title of the devotional is Clouds and Darkness, and it has the verse from Psalms.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Roman numerals. I think it's 97 too. Clouds and darkness are round about him.
Mm.
And then it goes on to talk about the mystery of God. But then it has this line down in it that says, after the amazing delight and liberty of realizing what Jesus Christ does, comes the impenetrable darkness of realizing who he is.
Mm.
But roll the tape all the way forward. I'm divorced from Nancy.
Yeah.
I have been for 7 years.
Uh-huh.
We were married for 34 years. We got married in 82. We lasted 34 years. We both, I guess the thing is deconstructed, but we both don't believe what we used to believe in the same way. I don't know if I want to get into that, but quite the faith journey, both of us. But that's where we started out, man. Here she was 18 and I was 20. And that's how we started out. And we believed. And when I wrote Clouds, I believe that with all my soul.
You guys contributed a re-record of your song Render Love to the soundtrack, and all those needle drops. I remember sitting down with John Thompson, our music supervisor, and I was just saying, like, okay, well, the songs you're going to play in the world, the needle drops, these are going to be this is my music if we're making all this heavy metal. So I just started making lists of bands and songs, and what can we get? And it had to be playing in the world at the summer of 1986. So for you guys, the song was Render Love off the record Diamonds and Rain. One, I love the song. You know, it was one of my favorites from the record, but also that song always felt slyly subversive in the context of Christian music. It was a peacenik song. A
little John Lennon.
Yeah. On a Christian record label.
Give peace a chance. Yeah, it was a little lefty. Lay down your weapons, lift up. You know, it was kind of my pacifist thing.
Yeah. But
lay down your weapons and lift up your fear. That song's relevant right now, I think.
Absolutely. But the song was definitely playing in my car, playing on my jam box back in the day. So I really am glad that you guys were able to do it.
We tried to do it just like the original, copy it. You know, but we had to lower it a step because Derry couldn't hit the high note anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He couldn't hit the F. It was a high F. He doesn't have an F in his range anymore, so we had to lower it to an E. But other than that, it's the same.
Yeah.
Render love, let there be peace in the land. Reconcile woman and man. Lay down your weapons and lift up your fear.
Okay, so here you go. 63-year-old Steve goes back in time to 15-year-old Steve, and after you get past the strange science fiction of the scenario, 15-year-old Steve believes it. Okay, here's old man me. What's that conversation like? What do you talk to that young man about?
I just would be, when in doubt, be kind to people. Be kind. I've learned to be kind in my old age. I have a very, very kind, loving father who's my biggest influence. That's what's worked best for me. And so I want to tell the young guy, because that's in me. That's in me. I want to say, be true to that, set your ego aside and just be as kind as you can to people. That's it, because that's what's working for me now. That's who I am. But I wasn't always. I can be a really mean son of a bitch at times. I can hurt people. I've hurt a lot of people. I don't, as a general rule, but that's when I roll back the tape and I want to do things to relive my life, like we all probably do in certain areas. I think, I should have been nicer to that person. I shouldn't have been mean. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have hurt that person.
Are you still friends with people from the scene, or the people that you were friends with back in the day? Like the people from...
What day is that? What day is that?
I mean, when youth choir began and the choir was kind of on its rise right up into the 90s, and of course you guys made awesome music. I have stayed together for like 30-something years, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you still buddies with people that maybe have changed in their perspectives on Christianity and even religion? Is everybody still friends?
Well, we're still fond of each other. A lot of us in that scene, Ojo Taylor, I would consider a good friend, even though he's become atheist now, and he was, not that, I shouldn't have said even though, I didn't even say it even though, because I agree with him in a lot of ways, but, and Mike Stan or whatever, I'd say he's a friend. But here's the thing, we moved to Nashville in 93 in our early 30s. Yeah. So I've established a whole new circle of friends in my adult life. So I'm not buddies with people from my youth, but I'm on good terms with everybody. Like I said, all the record label people and our former manager and all the different people. I don't blame anybody for our what I consider failed commercial success. I don't blame anybody. I think everybody. I don't have any ill will. I'm not bitter at anybody.
Yeah.
But I invest deeply in my friendships. I have all my life. Even post-divorce, I've been divorced 6 or 7 years. And that's a big social shift when that happens.
Yeah, of course.
That creates a big social shift. And I've gotten some of the deepest friendships that I have going. In fact, I would say right now, the best thing I have going on in my life is my relationship with other guys.
Yeah.
We walk in the woods together. And I have a girlfriend who lives in Cincinnati, which is 4 hours away, long distance relationship. And so I don't know, I'm trying to be patient about that. But that's a good thing to look forward to every other weekend. But in the meantime, I'm loving walking in the woods, literally and figuratively, with a bunch of good guy friends that I'm there for you. You want to move? Matt Slocum was moving this weekend. I'm like, I'm the guy that's going to help you move. I'm there for you, man.
Yeah, right.
So that's very enriching. That's very enriching in my life. Yeah. I want to be a good friend. I just want to be a good friend. I think that's one of the greatest attributes. I wrote a song on one of our albums a few albums back called "A Friend So Kind," about a friend named Tom Howard who had passed away, and he was such a good friend to me. And I thought that is the highest aspiration of virtue, to be a really good friend. And in fact, I used to say that to my daughter when I dropped her off at school, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, whatever. So I go, Erin, be a friend to someone who needs a friend today. And she's done that her whole life. She's 33, and she does that. I think that's really important in life. That's enriched my life, and that's what I would tell. That's what I tell anybody out there. Say, be a friend, not just be a friend to someone who needs a friend.
Yeah.
Today, you can make a difference right now. Right today, you can be a friend to somebody who needs a friend.
Man, I'm just so I'm pleased that you talked to me, and I'm pleased that you guys were able to be involved in the movie in the way you were with that contribution. I'm sorry that it was so cringy to watch. It was cringy for me to watch too.
Today,
yeah.
I love the scene. Oh, just now I watched the clip, and I love the scene where the guy's eating the licorice, and he's talking about how he got baptized when he was like in second grade.
Yeah.
Then he did a rededication. They did another rededication, and it was so dead on.
Yeah.
That's why it was cringy, because it was so dead on. I'm thinking, oh, I was baptized when I was 6, and then I see myself at summer camp.
Yeah.
I mean, all the cringy. That's why it was cringy, because you kind of hit it.
Yeah,
kind of hit
yeah,
it.
yeah. He says he really, he
too
hit
close for
rock
comfort.
bottom. He hit rock bottom in middle school or something.
Middle school.
Yeah.
That was hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
And the sound man guy, the protagonist, the sound man dude, is like, he's already an old soul. He's looking at the guy like, what? Middle school, really?